Adulting is really hard, and how do we know this? I know this from my own experience. When I graduated in university in 2019, I went from speaking at conferences, winning awards, to actually taking antidepressants. This memo shows a memo that my doctor wrote for me to give me antidepressants. I was binge eating, I was depressed, and I didn't know what to do with my life. And maybe today that's you as well. You're not too sure how to make this transition between school and work, from university to work. You're not too sure what you want to do with your life, and some of these questions can be really hard to answer. I then went on to actually receive a performance improvement plan or a get better or get sack plan in my first ever full-time job. You can tell that whatever I had achieved at school didn't seem to translate well to my life at work. And I kept thinking to myself, why is this happening? Because adulting is tough. It's really tough. And sometimes we don't realize how difficult it is. Starting out is really difficult. Like, how do you find a job? How do you send a CV? How do you start interviewing so that you will eventually get the job? How do you even find a job that you will like? How do you find a career that you will enjoy? These are difficult questions. Continuing in the job is even tougher. As you can see from this particular picture, going to work can feel like a slog. It can feel like you're being chained to your desk from a 9 to 5, and you really are looking at the clock about when you can actually go home. How do you sustain interest in a job? How do you grow at a job? When should you even quit a job? How do you know it's not working out? Then the next thing is, how do you even excel, right? How do you ask for a promotion? How do you get a pay rise? Some of these questions are not really answered. And lastly, what do we do with the relationships at work? Often we'll face toxic colleagues or bad bosses. What do we do with them? Do we just shout at them, throw our resignation letter and leave? Clearly the answer is no. Very often when we look at the advice out there, it's often just based on successful people. People who have had a straight and tidy career path climbing up the career ladder. But what we found is that very often your career might not be like that. So we went out to actually interview people who didn't have a conventional career path. 3 big ideas in this particular book. Firstly, skill over passion. We've heard the passion hypothesis from the likes of Steve Jobs. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. We don't think this is right, because passion is based on emotion, and emotions fade. On the other hand, strengths will become an anchor that will stick with you over the course of your life. And as Cal Newport shares in his work, you have to get good before you get good work. And improving your skills systematically is what is going to help you to get better and better jobs. In this book, we share how you can deliberately nurture your skills so that you're not just performing at the same level, but you're constantly improving. At the same time, the second big idea is independence over dependence. Today, we see the likes of Uber, Deliveroo, and Airbnb making the rise of the gig economy. This makes life as an employee extremely volatile and uncertain. You don't even know whether you'll get to keep your job. So what can we do, right? We can actually help ourselves to get better. In secondary 3, my parents lost their jobs. They were retrenched. And I ended up having to go and get donations so that we could feed ourselves. This isn't an experience that I want you to have. But it's an experience that we might get because we get retrenched. Employment is no longer a sure and certain path to a comfortable life. We need to build our own independence. How? You need to nurture your own skill. As Naval Ravikant, the angel investor, once said, you need to earn with your mind, not with your time. And as he shares, forget 10 times programmers, 1,000 times programmers really exist. Just look at the likes of Satoshi Nakamoto, who created the Bitcoin. Then when you are in this special class of skilled programmers, craftsmen, or whatever skill you have, you end up being able to earn exponentially more than others, and you are valued much more than everyone else. Lastly, is actions over ideas. Today we continuously procrastinate because we have great ideas but we don't act on them. Over time, we've seen that the most successful people focus and action. These are the two key factors behind how you will transit better between school and work. And in this particular book, we share actionables that you can take. As the moral, Ravikant once again shares, intentions don't matter, actions do. In closing, I want to share with you one story. In October 2021, I quit my job and I thought that I was going to have to go from eating luxurious food like that to having to eat grass possibly. I thought I had to queue up for donations again. I didn't really know what I was going to do after quitting without a job lined up. But just a few days before, on the 20th of September 2021, you can see this check here. It was the first ever check I got for writing a simple article. Whilst $150 didn't seem like much, it made me realize that I could actually build a career out of writing. And since writing, I've continuously raised my fees over and over again. And today, I'm no longer bound to a job. Being paid for engagements, to speak, to train, to work with young people is an opportunity that I never thought I would have. And I hope that you can have that kind of life for yourself too, where you are living according to your skills and living aligned to what excites you. In this book, we share the Uncover framework, where we share about how you can first understand your unique potential. That's about understanding your skills, your strengths, your values. That's about understanding your story, knowing who you are as a person and what you want to become. And secondly, it's about unlocking the relationships between. How do you work when you have a bad boss or a toxic colleague? What should you do in those instances? And lastly, it's about unleashing your potential for the greater good of the world by finding the stages where you can thrive and not just survive. Living a good life is not just about knowing what to do. It's about actually going out to do them. And in this book, we want you to help live your best life with all that you have, where you are in this current moment. Thank you.